Good day to you, everyone. Greetings from UK. And just let us know where you are joining us around the world. I want to thank the organizer of this great program. It's been a huge success, and I believe a lot of lessons learned that we are taking with us to our various countries, industries, and to transform them for better. Without much further ado, I will just go into my topic. Is best practices of artificial intelligence. And because of the time schedule that is very, very tight, I would try as much as possible to touch every aspect of this, but as efficient as possible. So my name is Femi Stevens. I'm a business transformation and innovation management consultant. Been in the industry for 2 decades. And I believe the discussion today will more or less shed light to many things that are happening around the world and looking at artificial intelligence, especially how it's transforming society and how it's helping us to drive business for better. If you can see my screen, the question to ask is, what is artificial intelligence and what is real intelligence? I will not attempt to actually answer that question because there are a lot of definitions how they're trying to explain what artificial intelligence is. But if you can look at the screen in front of you, this is what actually depicts what is happening now today between human and machine. This is a case study to actually train a machine how to recognize between two objects. And one is Chihuahua, I know we know that breed of dog, and Muffin. So the biggest challenge is how do you differentiate between an animal and something that is not an animal but has a kind of resemblance? How do you differentiate a living animal to just a picture of an animal? And this is a challenge that we're actually facing today in the AI industry, and especially machine learning generally. And the crossover between the artificial intelligence and the real intelligence is where the engineer, the software engineer, the business analyst, the enterprise architect, the innovators around the world are trying to kind of optimize so that there's a seamless handshake between machine and the human. We believe in the couple of months or years, we will be able to behave like human, but we still believe along the line, there are still a lot of work to be done. I will welcome questions from us. You can just leave your comment in the chat room. And if you have any observation, you can just leave it in the chat room, then I can take it. Moving forward, in trying to understand further the difference between the real intelligence and artificial intelligence, trying to define it, I would rather use the behavior and the capacity to define what artificial intelligence really is. What are the real intelligences that we have? We have the logical, mathematical intelligence. That's how to calculate, how to use logic, linguistic intelligence, how to communicate effectively Interpersonal intelligence, this is emotional intelligence, being aware of your environment, how to relate with people. Intrapersonal intelligence is self-aware. You have the will, you set a goal, and you pursue it. All these are real intelligences. Now the question is, how do we transfer this into machine to be able to replicate this without error and become a rational system, not irrational system? And this is where machine learning comes into play, making a system behave like human being. And this is the study of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is divided to different areas that we can talk of. There are study areas. We have the machine learning, we have the deep learning, the natural language processing, computer vision, expert system, and knowledge base. If you look at these areas, you will find out that you have the vision, you can just represent that like a human being. As the human being can see, can talk, can touch, can move from one place to another, can learn. So these are the areas of artificial intelligence. Now, what are we trying to achieve? We need an intelligence, if I may call it that way, that is tireless. It's not tired, it's always working. It's timeless. It's not talking about shift. It's not ready to take leave of absence. It's sleepless. It's always awake. And it's sickless. It doesn't fall sick. And it's endless, meaning we can create it today. All we need to do is just to upgrade it in a kind of endless version. In terms of performance, a system that has more computational power, meaning that this system can process, ordinary human being can manage maybe between 10 to 20 rows of data. But anything beyond that becomes kind of challenge. But how about a system that can manage billions of rows of data seamlessly? Can also manage terabytes of data. And in the age we are in today, we're generating terabyte and exabyte of data. How do we make sense of this? So we need a system that is tireless, timeless, sickless, and headless to manage it. Then better economy. They are low maintenance. The initial capital investment may be a bit high, but if you look at it on the long run, you find out that this is very, very economical. Now, a system that can give us better algorithm, this is model of running things, and better reliability, like we have mentioned. There is a comment in the chat box. I will just quickly take that before I continue.
Excuse me, Professor Femi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, doctor. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but Professor Noof, unfortunately, she has some unforeseen activity, and she would like to start her presentation now. If you allow her to start for 10 minutes, then you can continue your presentation.
Okay.
All of us with you, don't worry.
Okay, no problem. So
okay.
I will stop my hair. You can give her the sharing features then.
Okay. You can ask Dr. You can call Dr. Noof. Dr. Noof, you can start. You are on board. Hi, Dr. Noof. How are you?
Hi. Good. Hello, everyone, and good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. Depends on your time. Sorry for interrupting, but because I'm in a class, and so I stopped my lecture to to join. Thank you, Dr. Tahani, for providing
More
me
than
this.
welcome. Go ahead, Dr. Nof, and start your presentation.
Yeah, I'll
And
share.
share screen.
Yeah. Okay, I'll share with you today about, or I'll speak a couple of minutes about how does artificial intelligence affect organizational change practices. Before starting, I would like to introduce the focus of my speech, which is AI, the next significant of the organizational transformation, applying planned radical change, or because planned radical change equal to organizational transformation and business development. So before starting how the effect or how to apply AI within the organization who planned for transforming their business processes, let's go and look about the benefits for any organization applying artificial intelligence applications. So first of all, AI creates innovation and adding value, leading to a new and transform job roles, assist to develop more efficient and effective, cost-effective process within the organization, significant positive impact on the economy and the industry by transferring the task to machine learning, which will be time effective and also cost effective. And also it will be supporting the organization by carrying out the tasks in more accuracy level, and frees up the intelligent employee to perform more meaningful than completing and operating the routine in the organization. So having these benefits, I think organizations within the rapid external changes of the global business arena should think seriously of adopting AI application. And adopting AI application is a part of transformation, which is planned and radical change, which can be defined as the documented, structured, and available change that major changes happens within the organization and transform the processes within organization to enable organization to survive within the speed of external environment changes. Of course, to be able for the organization to adapt this planned radical or transformation and deploy the AI application, the knowledge part is very critical for the organization. Essential resources that staff member or the human within the organization rely on to perform the job properly. And the last definition is the AI, which is the ability to improve the performance level in a variety of ways and within the organization using a machine learning and artificial or intelligent application. The plan change clarifies the way that the organization manage the change. So of course, moving or shifting or digitalizing or deploying artificial intelligence application need to be very well planned for the organization. And also it's act as a radical transformation, which will be a major changes happens essential to the organization processes that transform or processes to transform from the current situation to the targeted situation, which is deploying AI application to increase efficiency and effectiveness within the organization, and also utilizing the resources in a better way, which will save the resources of the organization. If we looked at the knowledge about and how the knowledge interact or contribute to these changes and deploying the AI application to the organization or businesses, it is, as everyone agree, it is a critical factor and resources that staff members rely on it, and also being aware of the needed knowledge to complete the job or the new task within that created by deploying artificial intelligence is helpful to complete the job effectively and giving a better result of implementation of the plan, the radical or transforming the organization business processes from the current situation into artificial intelligence processes by applying machine learning, basically for the organization. Here we have the definition of knowledge, which is the integration of information skills that shape the experience needed to carry out the new transformed job activity, which is again resulted as a deployment of the artificial intelligence application. And the framework that I've used that categorize or define the knowledge as 3 levels: declarative levels, which is manuals, theoretical framework of the new jobs, and a new processes, new routine of the artificial intelligence applied, and then the procedural, that taking this theoretical part, applying it, and developing the skills of the staff member. If we understand as a leader of these 3 levels of knowledge, we will be able to manage and control the transformation from the current situation and apply or deploy the artificial intelligence application more effectively with the staff member, because as the literature and the scholars shows, any change or any major transformation creates a high level of resistance, and by working with this model, the resistance will be more controlled and managed. So last part of my presentation here is a model of 3 steps approach to developing AI system, and AI being creatively blended to improve efficiency and effectiveness within the organization. First is ongoing identification and recording the efficiency against, in order to enable AI to replace human intelligence when suitable. Understanding that human intelligence is likely to remain superior to AI in a range of screens to the present, and recognizing this aid future competitive advantage. The last point is regularly identifying the opportunity available by blending AI and the human intelligence within the organization to get the maximum benefit of this applications for the benefit of the organization, and maintain and develop its efficiency and effectiveness. Thank you very much. This was my slides, and I hope I could add a little bit about.
Thank you so much, Dr. No, for your contributions to our conference.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Professor Femi, you can take the floor and continue your presentation and present your guest.
Thank you. I believe we can see my screen.
Yes, your screen is clear. Go ahead.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a comment here from Dr. Anna. I think I should leave the comment to you so that you can take that up. I will just continue with the discussion on my side. Would that be okay?
Yes, the protocol of our conference, it's no discussion, only the speakers in the round table in the end of the track, and you will holding this track. You can finalize your presentation, then you can call the second presenter. Okay,
then, good.
To be on board.
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, most of the projects I have done and some that I've studied around the world is actually around the last two sides of my screen. That is the behaviors and the performance. Those are the qualities that are driving the adoption and uptake of artificial intelligence in any environment. It can be business, it can be non-for-profit, it can be in government. And in the moment you introduce or integrate an existing system to artificial intelligence, then you begin to have more computational power, you begin to have more speed. The only concern most of the time is the automation that vaporizes a lot of job functions, manual job functions. I remember a case study whereby we upgraded a call center application that is AI driven. And what we did was to use the forecasting functionality of the AI to actually forecast and predict who is calling in into the call center, match it with their preference, and some of the frequently asked questions. At the end of the day, you can imagine a call center of 1,000 people. And because of the AI that we implemented, we only need 300 people to actually manage the entire call center with a customer base of 45 million. So the computational power, the speed, the reliability, the financial implication of that, also the savings that it brings to any environment is actually the major driver in the adoption of artificial intelligence. So with what we have in front of us there is to see how we continually transfer the real intelligence out there into machine for better behaviors and for better performance. Looking at the functional process of artificial intelligence end-to-end, what we have tried to do here is to actually simplify it for everybody to see. It's nothing more. I'm going to take my journey from the left-hand side of the screen to the right side of the screen, which is just taking in data, gathering data and input data. Then when you get those data, you move it into the next stage, which is where you begin to train the system, you begin to do testing, you begin to tune in the system to behave, to be able to estimate, predict, to be able to forecast the outcome that is actually desired. So we move from the training of the system to testing of the system, tuning of the system, using capability of data cleansing. There are times that there will be some data that you don't really need in the system to behave better. So you have to clean up the data. Example is a Morphin versus Chihuahua. They look the same, but the result we are looking for is to have a Chihuahua in the system that can be recognized later if the system is actually operating on any task that has to do with selling product to Chihuahua owner and the rest. The next one is exploratory data analysis. This is key. This is actually where you are able to explore the data, the usability of the data, the relevance of the data in trying to get the results that we desire. Then the module evaluation is where the machine learning sit in, the machine learning, the deep learning, the rule engine. This is where you have it that is acting on the system. The human being is actually working on it, fine-tuning it. And finally, on the right side of your screen is where you have what we're actually looking at, the forecast output. And the forecast output is all about performance and measurement. You are able to benchmark what you have from the beginning, the right side of your screen, the input, to what you have in the output. Moving forward, how do we look beyond the system into the global arena in terms of the trend in that industry, in terms of the market share, in terms of the market size, in terms of the growth, in terms of the opportunity, and the nearest future, the futurity of what we are talking about? What are the potentials that we are seeing globally around the world? This is where we look at the industry, what is happening in the industry, how is the uptake, how is AI penetrating different industries and sectors like the healthcare, the manufacturing industry, automotive industry, agriculture in terms of smart agri, the retail industry. I'm going to show us the figures around this and the trajectory of the market size in each of these sectors as you move on. Marketing, human resources. How do you profile right talent for right opportunity in any industry? The financial services. How do you deal with fraud? How do you deal with credit rating? Transportation and logistics. These are areas that artificial intelligence is penetrating and is also transforming. Then we look at by type. Are we looking at the type of artificial intelligence that is weak, that is narrow, that is general, that is strong, and that also superpower? Very soon we're going to be talking about singularity. This is where the complete set of intelligence of human being is now transferred into the machine, and the machine is outperforming the collective intelligence of human beings. Then we look at it by offering. What are the areas of offers that many of these companies that are driving artificial intelligence are offering us in terms of the hardware? Because now most of the hardwares you need to drive artificial intelligence, they're in the cloud. You don't need to put them on the premise. The software, we're talking of Azure, we're talking of IBM, we're talking of Amazon Web Service and the rest of them. Then the kind of services. The services we're talking about here is how they actually affect the industries and the sectors around us: education, agri, healthcare, and the rest of them. Now, by technology, we have different technology in artificial intelligence. We have the machine learning. This is where the base is, actually. Because if the machine is not learning, then there's nothing that the system can bring out. I corrected somebody recently. He said, computer is garbage in, garbage out. I said, that was in the 80s. Now, computers are even better. You can't feed in computer garbage now. It will tell you, it will give you error. It can even teach you on what you need to feed it. So the intelligence has come into the era of garbage in, garbage out, making it not possible again. Then natural language processing. As I'm talking to you, there are systems today that have been developed that can convert speech to text, text to speech. And most call center systems are beginning to use that to actually accelerate resolution of issues. Context-aware computing. This is the height of it. This is where a computer becomes self-aware. It can think for itself. It can read meaning to things around it and apply the right logic. Computer vision. This is where computer can, we know that, of course, in many great cities around the world, Dubai, for example, you have autonomous vehicle. They are using computer vision and many others. Now by system, we talk about intelligence system, decision support system, hybrid system, and the rest. Now by region, I'm going to show us the penetration and who is leading in the world in terms of this race. It's actually a race now. It's a race. And countries are beginning to see the power of technology, especially artificial intelligence. We are going to look at Asia Pacific, North America, Europe, Latin America, Middle East, and Africa. You can keep on typing in your question. I will take them after the presentation, please. I hope this screen is clear to us wherever we are. This is just a few statistics here and there that we're able to pull together. Credit to Imagine, Technovia, and the McKinsey Global. The market growth will accelerate. I'm looking at in the next 5 to 10 years now. That's what we are looking at. It's going to accelerate at a cumulative accumulation of growth rate, which is 21%, which is very, very good. Very, very good. It's an annual rate. Then one of the main drivers, especially in the banking and finance and insurance sector, will be to manage, to prevent fraud, not to manage, because intelligence is there to prevent than managing it. Then also malicious attack. Then the next driver is also cloud-based application and services. Instead of us buying the servers, owning the data warehouse and the rest of them, now we can put everything in the cloud. You can imagine the savings to the company when you're running such powerful system without owning any of the resources. All you need is just the computing resources, the software performing better for you. Then the other key driver, which is also key to all of us today, is how to increase employee productivity. Based on research data that we've gotten, we found out that one of the greatest waste in any enterprise environment today is actually asset utilization, asset engagement. We found out that 50 to 60% of employees are not really engaged and they are not maximally used. So we believe that with artificial intelligence, with enough intelligence, you can get your employee to get engaged and be more productive. The market is still fragmented pretty much because we have a lot of players out there and a lot of startups coming up. If you look at the country around the world, the leading continent or the leading country is actually North America, followed by Asia Pacific, where you have China, South Korea, Singapore, and the rest of them. Then in Europe, UK is leading the rest, the pack, and the rest of the world are lagging behind. And if you look at the technology driving this, the increase in the type of artificial intelligence technologies and solutions, we found out that the natural language processing area is actually increasing. The need for that functionality is increasing. And I believe because of the fact that people want to interface with their computer instead of using their fingers, they just want to talk to their computer. And that is why you see Amazon Assistant, Google Assistant, Microsoft, as you enter a smart home, you're using your voice control to manage everything. So the increase in the functionality of natural language processing and the rest of them is actually increasing in terms of AI capability. We also see that, if I may delve a little bit into the type of organization in terms of SMEs and enterprise, big enterprise, the enterprise adoption of AI is actually much in that space, because I still believe that the SMEs, they're still seeing the impact before they latch on the artificial intelligence usage. So, looking at the future and the trend, the potential value that artificial intelligence is bringing into the market is huge. It's huge. AI promises added value of up to $5.8 trillion. You can just imagine that in the next 5 to 10 years. The question to business men and women around the world would be, how do I take a chunk of this? And we have kind of broken this down to areas and sectors that those values are going to be maximized and actualized. And we see that in the sector of marketing and sales, the demand, the value of artificial intelligence to drive that sector as the largest. So artificial intelligence is going to create the largest value and market size in marketing and sales sector of any industry. Call it healthcare, education, aeronautics, agriculture, infrastructure, the marketing and sales. And this has to do with the need to be visible globally, the need to also serve personalized services and product to your customer. Next to that is the supply chain management and manufacturing. If you can optimize your supply chain, you can increase your profit margin by 33%. You can imagine a 33% saving in just optimizing your supply chain processes. The rest will be risk management, avoiding fraud, kind of strengthening your system against hackers and the rest, HR. This is to just give us a picture of the potentialities in artificial intelligence. We are talking about $5.8 trillion market here in the next 5 to 10 years. We move on from this. We should keep the question coming in. The major players. Looking at the major players around the world in terms of the size of their patents, new grounds are being broken, frontiers are being pushed, boundaries are being destroyed, actually, because of new findings in artificial intelligence, especially in the area of deep learning. There are a lot of data visualization capability that brings to us today that many years ago, we cannot even think about it. Microsoft is leading here, followed by IBM, Samsung, Google, and the rest of them. You can imagine the growth rates of AI-related patent application per year. In 2008, it was 23,000 patents filed in 2008. Now, 2018, 78,000 patents filed. In the future, there are opportunities around this. How do we translate patents to products? And this is an opportunity for many businesses to start looking at that. How do we, all these frontiers we are pushing, boundaries that we are breaking, how do we bring them into the market space in order to serve the populace? So Microsoft is living there, followed by IBM, according to Statista. Government are not left behind in the race also. So what we've tried to do is to look across the global space, the marketplace. We look at the government, we look at industry, we look at manufacturer, and we look at the system itself. This is a kind of roadmap of the race between governments around the world. How do you drive governance? How do you serve populace better? And how do you lead in the global stage? That picture gives us the race and the importance of AI in politics also. And if we can recall, the American election was won not only by people voting, it was won by technology. Artificial intelligence at the background, profiling, the kind of message people need to hear and when they need to hear it. AI in politics will become a great subject, and it will continue to grow now and in the future. AI futurity, in specific terms, I just try to give us what does the future portend for us. I've selected some key industries and sectors to actually drive this point home. We believe that the future of AI is very, very good. It looks very, very good. And I also believe that people need to begin to upskill and upgrade their knowledge, their skills in this area. And AI is not only going to maybe remove jobs, it's also going to create new jobs. So we should not look at the negative part of AI. We should also look at the positive side of AI. We're going to have people like AI trainer. I started as an AI trainer, how to train an AI to behave. And you're going to have AI analysts. Everything is not going to be coding and programming. We are going to have AI leaders. There are courses that are being developed now that are targeted at leaders, business leaders, organizational leaders. And this is one area that I'm actually interested in also, because there's a demography in the business space, in the industry today, that are old enough, that are far off away from what all this technology is all about. So how do we take care of them? So the future is very, very bright, and the future is all about how do we gain competitive edge? How do we become more accessible? How do we serve better and serve faster? How do we say relevance? It's all about relevancy. It's all about relevancy, because if you are not on that train, if you miss it, then it's going to take a lot of time to catch up. Cost efficiency. Many business leaders today are being challenged to do more with less. Budgets are being cut or are being reduced or are being removed completely. How do you introduce artificial intelligence to save costs, to remove waste? Then finally, future proofing of career and businesses. The question for you is, what is my business going to look like in the next 5 years and 10 years? What is my career going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? Today, artificial intelligence is beginning to read news, beginning to write blogs and newspaper. It's beginning to compose music. It's beginning to be a special assistant. So the list is endless. How do you future-proof your career? Is by upgrading your skill in this area. PwC has estimated that AI will contribute, like we have mentioned before, $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. Just imagine that. And based on the data we have looked at, have participated in such research, we found out that the skill to actually, the supply may not meet up with the demand in terms of skill and human resources if we don't take a very strong position in terms of capacity development at this point in time. The healthcare sector is going to be disrupted. Complex surgery will be performed by artificial intelligence with robotics. We're going to have people, I believe the future looks very, very bright based on the capability of artificial intelligence and other exponential technologies that we have around us today, because now we can use artificial intelligence to actually help us analyze healthcare data. You can imagine the COVID-19 is a very good example. It takes 4 to 7 years to develop successfully a kind of vaccine to manage viruses. Today, with the help of artificial intelligence, we are able to develop the first iteration within a year. And I believe that those time, the gestation period and maturity period for developing drugs and putting it into the market, they are going to continually reduce because we are able to use artificial intelligence to visualize even up to the DNA level of human being, also able to program different, synthesize different data from plants, from animals, in order to come up with solutions. Healthcare is going to be radically disrupted by this.
Excuse me, Mr. Femi, just to catch up our agenda. The other speaker is waiting, okay, and your track will be closing soon. I think now the second one, it should be the second speaker based on our agenda, Mr. Ben, Dr. Irma, or Mr. Ben, who's ready?
Okay, let me quickly round off on mine.
You can close it out at the end of the session because you are who is running the round table.
Yes,
okay?
I'm rounding off now. Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most welcome, Mr. Ben. Hi, Mr. Ben, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How is everyone?
It's good. Go ahead and start your presentation. The floor with you.
Okay. Right, so is my screen now viewable?
Yes, it's clear.
Excellent. Okay, hello everyone. I'll quickly introduce myself and the company that I represent before I go into my presentation. So my name is Benjamin Huskisson, and thank you very much for inviting me to present. I've been looking forward to it. I'm currently the Chief Digital Officer at Gleeds, and I'm responsible for the digital transformation of the company. And Gleeds is one of the largest privately owned construction consultants in the world. And the chairman, Mr. Richard Steer, was a keynote speaker on one of the first days of this conference. And at Gleeds, we provide project management, cost management, asset management, and building surveying worldwide. So this evening, I'm going to talk around how digital augmentations in the construction industry will support sustainable economic growth, and how AI is a major component to digital augmentations of our services. At Gleeds, we recognize the importance of AI and the profound impact it will have on construction and associated construction services. AI, machine learning, and deep learning will be a fundamental component of Gleeds' digital transformation and sustainable economic growth. The key issues to be addressed when we use artificial intelligence are data, how we collect, store, manage, and make it machine readable, and we have to standardize our protocols. Number two is security of the data once we've collected and stored it. Number three is making sure that we've got the technology and the infrastructure that enables the processes required. Governance must be in place, and Gleeds must have the appropriate skill sets to be available within the company to allow us to do it. So very quickly, I'm going to focus on two technologies that we're using that enables AI and machine learning, and eventually will allow deep learning, which help us to address those 5 issues which I've just spoken about. The first technology I'll discuss is our Digital Project Management Office, and the second is our plans for autonomous data collection. So on screen, we've got our Digital Project Management Office. It's an augmentation of our project management. It's innovative. It uses our own technology and intellectual property, but it also uses other market-leading softwares via APIs. And it meets our digital transformation strategic objectives because it allows us to better use our data and convert it into an asset, which will help us add value to our value proposition and add value to our clients. And we can standardize how we generate, collect, store, manage, and use our data to create master data, which we can then use AI and machine learning on our core services, PMs, building surveying, cost management, and asset management. And the more data we collect using our Digital Project Management Office, we will eventually enable the use of deep learning, which is where we want to get to in the use of conventional neural networks, which will help us create new services and products for our clients. And the second technology that I want to take you through and highlight is a move towards autonomous data collection. And I do have a very quick video which I'll play, but the move towards autonomous data collection will help us use robots instead of people. It's much lower risk. It facilitates the use of BIM, and it's cloud ready for remote working. So here's a quick video to show you what I'm talking about. Right, that's it from me. I hope you found it useful and kept it and interesting. I've kept it to 2 technologies that we're using that helps us digitally augment what we do, and that's going to allow us to use AI in the future. But I have 10 minutes. I've restricted it to 2 technologies, and I hope that's given you an insight into how Bleeds are digitally augmenting and how AI is fundamental to our plans. So thank you very much. Continue to have a great time at the conference, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben, for